You missed the other part of that. You got the first part. If you don't have anything nice to say, you miss the second half of that every time. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CoinDrop podcast, episode 115. And joining me, we've got Chris, stepping into the co-host seat once again. First time since PAX, actually. So, Chris, how you been?
Honestly, God, I've been busy with doctor's appointments, man. I've got like a medication change that has been not the greatest transition for me. Dealing with my disability people not paying me on time, and of course they're not saying anything because they're just insurance companies, right? Yeah, slowly cleaning my place up, trying to keep it right, messing with my cats until they hate me, you know, man. Doctor's appointments and dealing with insurances.
That's the worst. I remember when I was laid up for my hip labrum being torn from the gym, dealing with Edgewick. I don't remember what it was at the time, but they were just fucking horrible. Was the insurance company for AT&T, and it had nothing but stress, man. I feel for you. That's not fun.
The wild thing is, like, everything is happening, and they're just like, oh, if you want to check the status of your claim, just check the web portal. But the web portal, all that says, it's just like, oh, hey, we requested these documents on this day. Oh, by the way, we got those documents on this day. It's like, okay, cool. Like, when's my next payout? Is there anything that you guys need for me? What is pending? What is still needed? More importantly, when's my next payout? Because I haven't gotten paid all of September.
Oof, that's not cool.
Thankfully, I got like 4 months worth of back pay back in August, so like I'm cool for now. But we've gone over this. Why are we still playing these games right now?
What's funny is at this point they're worse than the VA. I actually just today in class found out that I qualify for Chapter 31 benefits, which are different than Chapter 33, right? 33 is the post 9/11 bill. But because I have a disability that disqualified me from my job, I technically can apply for 31, which is like vocation rehab. And it has, from my understanding, all the stuff that Chapter 33 has. There's some extra steps you have to do, and you have to like apply for it and see a counselor and that kind of shit. But potentially, I could be getting $14,000 of Snap-on tools for free.
Voc rehab is perfect for vets like us that lose capability to do certain jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're just great for us to get like certifications, things that we need for those certifications and whatnot. Nothing like expensive, like getting like your commercial pilot's license or anything like that, because that's like upward of like $100K. But mechanics, yeah, cool. We'll help you pay for all your schools, the certs that you need. We'll help you get tools so you can get started on work, all that kind of nonsense. But yeah, no, Voc rehab is awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. Apparently they do house allowance different, so it's based more on your need rather than just base E5 pay or whatever it is. I mean, compared to what you're going through, literally all I did was log into the VA, give them my information, which at this point autofills on their website, and click submit. So the VA is easier than dealing with these damn insurance companies nowadays.
So real, dude.
Well, we've got, just a ton of content for you guys tonight, which is kind of funny because literally last week I said we had no content, and Zach and I kind of stretched and had some story time and reminisced about the Halo backflip on the mob. On the Patreon side, we are going to be talking about, how do I put this? The blandness of the industry, I guess is the best way to say it. If you want to hear more, you'll have to head over to patreon.com/CoinDropPod, where you'll get this episode not 1 day, but 2 days early in its audio format. So now we're doing 2 days early, and you will get it over there.
Those days.
On top of that, we now do a video side to the Patreon as well, which unfortunately still comes out Thursday. But if you're an audio guy, you get all of that on Tuesday. I need time to edit, man. I sit in this chair more often than not. It is what it is. You get it Thursday. But there's some other benefits you get. We have a Patreon exclusive side of the Discord, all that good stuff. So if you want more information, head over to our link tree, join our Discord, DM me, email me. Be more than happy to tell you guys how it all works. With that said, Chris, we played some Mistfall Hunters, which we saw that at PAX. And I had the opportunity. I did get a press email to go check that out, but it was one of those things where, again, you gotta determine what is most interesting to you and what you want to see, because otherwise you're going to work 12 hours a day for 4 days, and that's just not something I'm willing to do. So I didn't get a chance to play it there, and I think you didn't get a chance, correct?
No, I got to basically I eavesdropped on a lot of people talking about what the game was about, different mechanics that they're bringing into the game, and like their basic trailer that they have. Pretty sure it's the one that's up on Steam right now.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know anything different or new about the game until we actually started to play it. What, last week, was it?
Yeah, we played a little bit last week. I think you've played more than I have at this point. I kind of was like, all right, I mean, I can see where this game has room to grow, what's good about it, what's bad about it. But I want to start at the very beginning. The character creator in this game, for an extraction type game that is not really a traditional RPG, is surprisingly robust.
Yep.
I mean, I can't think of another extraction game that has quite the detail in its character creation. It's not quite Skyrim level, but it's pretty damn close to Skyrim level. And it seems like you're going to be able to have beards later because there's the beard hair color, but the bases, none of them had beards.
They're definitely going to be expanding on character creation for sure, because like you said, like there were notes in there that hinted at editing other parts that we couldn't edit currently, and I think this was their third early access playtest.
Yeah, to be clear, this game isn't
from what I
even
remember
in early access yet. This was a playtest you had to sign up for. It's going to close at some point. Thinking of other extractions, right? You've got Tarkov, you've got Gray Zone Warfare, you've got what was that really not good one I played from the XWow devs? Magic Sword and Shield, or whatever the hell it was.
I really like playing extraction games, specifically the shooters, like you said, Tarkov, Gray Zone Warfare, Exfil, stuff like that. But these more like high fantasy games, Dark and Darker.
Yeah, that's a good one. But again, the character creation there is pretty lax as well. It was Legacy, Steel, and Sorcery that I was thinking of. It's made by XWow devs. It's pretty mid.
There's also Dungeonborne, which I think was probably one of the latest fantasy dungeon crawler extraction games.
Yeah.
I honestly want you to finish all of your thoughts on the game, because you and I have two very different views on these style games.
Yeah.
I enjoy them more, and I analyze these things so much more than you.
Yeah.
Because you always want to play the stuff that's going to make you feel clunky. And when you're playing a clunky character on a playtest, well, let me tell you guys, he didn't have the greatest of times on some runs that we had.
Yeah. There was, so anybody who knows me knows I'm the barbarian. I'm the big hammer, big axe, hit stuff hard, hit things slow, take a lot of hits guy. That's my bread and butter in pretty much every game that gives me that option. That's my go-to. And it's not so much that I want to feel clunky, I want to feel big. Like if I played, I know for a fact, I don't even have to play the game to know this, but I know for a fact that if I played Overwatch, I would main Reinhardt. I know very little about that game, but I know Reinhardt, and I know if I played Overwatch, that would be my main. That gives you kind of an idea. And so the mercenary in Mistfall Hunter has a big hammer. You get 2 weapons, I was going to say for all classes or all characters, but that's not the case. Some only have 1.
Yes, some only have 1, and I'll get into those here in a little bit when I talk on my end, because I actually did play all 6 or 7 of their classes. Yeah, you kept
jumping in and out and changing out, and I was just like, I've got my hammer, I'm good.
Yeah.
Hammer bro smash.
And I'll get into the details of those that technically have the 1 weapon, but I want to hear your full in-depth experience, because I know we talked about it at the time.
Yeah.
When you were done, you're like, okay, cool, I've got my notes, I'm gonna do my stuff, I got other stuff to go do.
Yeah, so I think the sword and board option is your other option as a mercenary, and it's quick, and it definitely feels like they spent more time polishing those mechanics, those movements, those animations, those hitboxes over the hammer. There was numerous times I would like do an attack with the hammer, do a power attack, and the hitbox is too tight for that weapon, for how easy it is to miss with their current animations. That weapon, if you miss, you almost guaranteedly die. Not to that quite level of extreme, but missing is a death blow. So the fact that there were multiple times where I'd go into an attack animation and then I would go to do the attack and I would like slide past the guy I was trying to hit was pretty infuriating. So I think there's still some level of animation that needs to be tuned on that. And again, this is a playtest, right? So I'm not mad about it. It's frustrating, but it's understandable. So there's a level of polish that definitely still needs to be there, specifically with the hammer. But overall, it felt good. The weight of the hammer, the speed that it hits felt right for the amount of damage. Like, it felt balanced in that aspect, but there were some other things that needs to be fixed. Obviously, it's a playtest. That's to be expected. One thing that I am very happy about with this game that honestly, at this point, is kind of a game seller, and it might sell this game for me. I don't get super big into extractions, mainly because I'm a duos player. Generally, when I play games like this or PUBG, I play with one other person. I don't generally have 2 people, 3 people to play with. So it's frustrating when a game has a solos and it has a trios, or a solos and a squad. What made PUBG good for a long time was that it had duos, and now they've only got duos first person. That's another rant, but I like to play duos because that's generally what I can squeeze in, right? Where I'm going with this is they don't have radial menus. And I know that's kind of like a weird transition, but radial menus in every game right now. Marathon had them. PUBG has them. So many freaking games use these radial menus, and personally, I fucking hate them. They're great for controller players, but as a mouse and keyboard guy, I cannot stand when somebody binds healing items to a radial menu. I have 150 something keys on this fucking keyboard. Let me bind my healing where I want it, and not make me hold this key, then move my mouse, then click. No, fuck you. Let me press a button, damn it. And you know, this game does it. It lets you bind 1 through 5 for healing, or, you know, whatever you want.
Actually, I think it's 1 through 4.
It might be 1 through 4.
If I remember right, it's 1 through 4.
Maybe it is 4. I could have swore there was like 5 or 6 buttons. They don't skimp on potions, but your potions are significantly less effective early on than they are later. You get the, what is it? The horn. What do they call the horn? The like mead that you drink. Because there's a limit to that one.
So they don't call it mead, which kind of pisses me off, considering it's a Norse kind of base.
Yeah.
Loosely Norse-based. They call it victory wine.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's the victory wine. So you get, I think, 3 drafts of that, which are your primary healing, but you can also find and bring in healing potions, which heal you over time, X amount of healing based on the level of the potion, right? Pretty standard stuff. But you can bring in as many of those as you want, which is really cool. So you can just bind them and keep drinking them, keep you in the game, keep you in the fight. I appreciate that, because I found more often than not in most extraction games, I never have enough healing. PUBG, it was never an issue. PUBG had tons of healing throughout the game. When I died, I was never out of healing. It was because I got outplayed or cheated. But in this game, it feels like, holy shit, you need these potions. You got to be slamming and drinking, slanging and banging. So it's nice that they don't put a limit on that. It has a quick 5-second cooldown, and you can chug another one, and you can chug another one. I appreciated that as well. The art style, like you said, very cool. It has Dark Souls vibes, but the actual art is definitely influenced by Norse mythology, to the point where, you know, you've got a raven that basically guides you throughout the game. There's a lot of overtures of Yggdrasil, the Tree of Life, and just the Norse culture, which is really awesome.
I'm a huge fan of Norse mythology, so that immediately sucked me in. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what else we got?
Yeah.
I want to emphasize here, it is loosely Norse-based.
Yeah.
There are the runes, those are super prevalent in the game. A lot of the clothing style and all that stuff is kind of that fantasy Norse Celtic kind of vibe and feel to it.
Yeah, it definitely
but it's
blurs
definitely
those
not
genres.
like, yeah, it's definitely not like, oh, this is Norse-based.
Yeah, it's fantasy Norse for sure. The same as like the new God of Wars, right? Same kind of idea. I enjoyed the crafting system that they added, or that they put into this game. You get different affixes, which will better help you or not, which is kind of nice. I think the crafting system they've got is really cool. I think ultimately they've got a good base here. Again, it's a playtest, so it needs some polish. And I personally would love to see a duos mode. I understand not doing a duos mode, a solo, and a trio, because then you're splitting your player base super wide. So I get not having that as an option. Just personally, I wish they had a duos, because we two-manned a lot of stuff, and we did kind of party slap a couple of players. But man, when we went up against a 3-pack that were actually sweaties, we got demolished quick.
Yeah, them having that third person definitely benefited them.
Yeah.
We still downed 1 or 2 of them every single time, but we ultimately still lost.
Right. Having that third person would save us. I'm going to put this in that I'm not sure how I feel about it category. We definitely fought player bots. So the game definitely has bots in it. There were at least 2 encounters that I can think of where we clearly fought some bots. So whether they're inputted there by the devs or they're people botting, obviously the latter being significantly more concerning.
I recently found out a little bit of information regarding that.
Okay.
I read a comment that said that it's weird to have a PvE mode and a PvPvE mode.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, and as far as I know, there was the standard, the normal mode, or the chaos mode. While we definitely encountered player bots, we definitely also still encountered people in normal mode, so I'm not really sure what they were talking about, but they would introduce player bots into lobbies just so that players would be able to actually get in and test the game. I do remember them saying something about where this was strictly for the playtest.
Got it.
They don't intend to release that for when the game actually goes live.
Yeah, I do remember some of our later games, when it got later into the night, we had quite the long waits to get into the lobby.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, right? Obviously, with a playtest, you have to request access. You're limiting how many people can connect. So therefore, you need to buff those numbers so people can actually get matches. So hopefully that's how it is. The main issue I have is the same issue I always have with every extraction shooter is the loop gets tired to me. After 7 or 8 bad runs of just losing and then getting gear, finally starting to build back up, and then losing a fight and losing all that gear, it wears me down. Yeah, I don't find that enjoyable. And once again, like most extraction games I've played recently, I find myself wishing this was just a co-op PvE narrative game. And there's a story to it, but again, it's one of those things where I'm like, God, it's not my genre. It's not what I find fun. It's fun for a little bit, but it's not something that I will spend hundreds of hours on. I'd rather go play Diablo 2 Resurrected again, or Diablo 3 on a season, right? Or another run of Baldur's Gate.
That will never finish.
That will never But extractions are cool. They're short-lived games in my opinion, because once I've lost everything and the desire to continue to play and be outplayed by people who are better than me is just not there. I think it's cool if you like extractions, if you like fantasy games. I think Mistfall Hunter is definitely worth a look. For me, it's one I'll probably pick up and play occasionally, and I'm definitely going to get it on sale.
I agree on that. And I think that last bit right there is kind of like the main difference between you and I when we're looking at this genre of games. I don't mind going in naked, essentially.
Yeah.
And just being like, all right, let's see what we can do now. Like you said, it's definitely not something I'm going to do solo. But if I have 1 or 2 friends, it's like, hey, we'll drop 2 or 3 hours of just getting our asses handed to us and coming back with absolutely nothing. Because ultimately, kind of like what I had told you before, it's the early levels of these games always suck because you're bland, you've got nothing. Kind of like how we did. We entered the playtest late.
Yeah.
Everyone's already got leveled up characters with like their perks, their buffs, and all that kind of stuff. And we're like level 2, and we're like, where's the B button? It's a growing pain type of game.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely frustrating because, games like Tarkov, where they have like seasonal wipes to keep the game fresh. So
and you kind of have to in those kind of games, because otherwise you get like you get the 1%ers who just rickroll everybody.
Absolutely. You get those guys who just sit there, they hoard up armor-piercing ammo, and they just start nailing people. And at some point, everyone just gets so much money, and they have all the stuff, and, oh, I died. Guess I'll just go ahead and buy all this expensive stuff again, go back in and try again, or whatever. You have to have those server wipes to keep these types of games pretty fresh. But games like these dungeon crawlers are self-regulated because you're going to die. You only have so much storage space. Those games kind of self-regulate themselves. I don't really feel like there's too much of a need for them to have seasonal wipes, but we'll see. Dungeonborne, I really enjoyed that one, but they've already sunset. I think they actually sunset next month. I'll have to double check that.
That's longer than Steel Hunters, the extraction shooter that was up and then out immediately. That just tells you how crowded. For the love of God, stop making roguelikes, stop making Metroidvanias, and stop making extractions. It's such a crowd. Those three genres are so fucking crowded.
They really are.
It's insane. Why would you choose to continue to compete in this realm when you've got... it's another rant.
Yeah. We'll save that one for later. You guys can pay for that on the on the Patreon side. That's
you want to
fine.
hear me lose my mind about the blandness?
And let me tell you guys, listening to this guy rant for hours on end is entertaining. I'm just throwing that out there as someone who's literally spent all day in a van with this man.
We get into some wild shit back then. Yeah.
I think you and I put in about 3 hours of gameplay together.
Yeah, let me see what Steam is saying I had in it. 4.8 hours is kind of what it...
4 point, okay.
Yeah, so...
Okay.
I did enjoy solos a little bit, but again, playing it with friends is...
Oh, it's so much better. So I've got 11.7 hours, so I've put in a pretty decent amount more time into the game than you, and that was mostly just me exploring it because I'm a fucking masochist and I just enjoy the pain of, losing everything. Although I do have an all decked out blue gear mercenary.
Nice.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that's a flex.
Flexing. My favorite class is still the Seer. We'll go over classes here real quick. They've got the Seer, which was at the top of the list. That one immediately perked my attention because it was a support class that also has combat support. There was a tower I could summon to help him fight. There was a separate tower I could summon to heal.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I had my own ranged magic attacks and stuff like that. So it was it was pretty dope. And knowing that he was going to go some kind of barbarian, I'm just going to go in and let myself get slapped around a little bit while I slap them with my big hammer.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, cool. I'll go support. I don't mind. I enjoy that. The Seer it was kind of a relic of some sort that they would use. That was the support side of things. And then they had the Blasphemer side of that tree where you basically say, hey, I'm not here to support. I'm just going to use all this magic that I've got, and I'm just going to blow things up and whack people with a mace really hard. And let me tell you, a Blasphemer Seer is probably the most fun I've had in these dungeon crawler games.
All right.
Because you're just running around whacking the shit out of people, and you've got explosive runes, immobility runes, there's some health drain stuff too. And
nice.
It was a really fun class. They had the Shadow Strix, which tickled my pickle because my gamer handle is Strix.
Yep.
But I don't normally play rogue type characters in games because I don't have the patience to just be oh, I'm going to go invisible and run around this corner real quick and wait for a moment to stab you in the back and then do stuff. So they have, of course, their literal cloak and dagger build, and then they had twin short swords build, which is all DPS damage burst.
Yeah.
Which was actually, I think when I was playing the twin sword Shadow Strix was when we just absolutely obliterated people because I would just go. The DPS burst on that was insane.
Yeah, they've got some balance they need to do on that game for sure. There's some classes that absolutely outplay the others to an extreme amount.
Oh yeah, and a lot of the solo play that I was doing towards the end, I would usually die because I encountered Shadow Strix that really use their weapon swap capabilities and use the different abilities between different weapons masterfully. I'll give them that. I was like, holy crap. They outplayed the shit out of me on that one. Then you've got a sorcerer, which has elemental magic and star magic. Basically the exact same thing with slightly different effects that you could get out of your spells. They had the Black Arrow, I believe the Archer class was called.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm forgetting, there's one more. They've got a ton of classes in each class, minus the Archer and the Sorcerer has two different weapon sets that you can use, kind of spice up your gameplay a little bit. Maybe you're playing solo, and you want to play, like me. When I played solo, I swapped to the Blasphemer Seer because it's I don't really care about healing. I can self-heal, and I've got a bunch more damage that I can do, and AoE stuff that I can do, and that's just going to suit me better for solo play. And then when I was playing it with Garth, it was all just, I'm going to be the support, I'm going to sit in the back, do some range damage, heal where I can, just do what I can to support him, keep him alive in the fight, and go from there. Now, the Sorcerer, like I said, has two different magic types which you could swap back and forth on, and you would use that to kind of regulate the types of spells that you would have. So you would still have your base ranged auto attack spell, but then you would have some more higher damage AoE based kind of spells. And then you've got your elemental magic, so like fire, ice, lightning, and stuff like that, which you could also, I think at some point you'd be able to, as you leveled up, you'd get buffs or perks to these spells for like additional effects, which is super cool. The archer class, the Black Arrow, I believe it was called, they have bow skills, and then they have different types of arrows that you could equip and use and kind of like mix and match with your bow skills. So you'd have like, I think it was like a sonic arrow for like some AoE damage, iron head or steelhead one for more piercing. You're sitting there, you're kiting people, you can just launch an arrow straight through all of them. I didn't play too much of the archer class because that was a really hard class to play solo. At low levels, it's hard to play solo. I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't want to play it while I was playing with you too much because
I kind of get in the way.
You and I, yeah, you get in the way, and I'm launching my arrows, and I'm hitting you instead of them. I'm not damaging you, but I'm also not doing damage.
Yeah, not doing damage is just as bad as doing friendly fire damage.
Yeah, you're useless. I might as well not be there.
Right.
Outside of that, I mean, the game they've got a little bit of story, which is better than some of these other dungeon crawlers have done, honestly. It's not just like oh, hey, you're going in to get loot, which is like, okay, cool. Lazy way to do some story writing, air quotes on story writing. They've got a little bit of a story, like the gods are dead or dying or something like that, and you're doing what you can to basically restore your fate. And I think they didn't really say it, but I think the ultimate objective of the game is like you're trying to bring balance back so that existence itself doesn't just like die off. Very Dark Soulsy, like, hey, it's the end of the world, and you're here to restore balance or something.
I would say their story beats are more prevalent than Dark Souls, but not by much. They're not as... Yeah. They're definitely more on the nose in Dark Souls, but that's not a big jump considering that half of Dark Souls story you have to read item descriptions to get, which is just ridiculous. The voice acting's pretty solid too for the characters, and the missions do kind of feel fetch questy, but at the same time they do give more than just, hey, we need you to get this loot. There's the guy you save, his bell. One of your first quests, you have to go get his bell because he's like a guy that died praying to the gods and he wasn't able to extract or whatever because you use this bell, which I also thought was kind of a cool mechanic. You don't go in with the ability to extract. You have to kill a monster that is like a sentient bell that gives you this bell of recall, basically, so that you can extract, which is an interesting, unique mechanic. I will give Mistfall that. They have done things that are new in the genre, in my experience. Again, I'm not super knowledgeable about everything extraction shooter, but I've never seen something like that in an extraction, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not just, hey, go to these set extraction points. It's, I believe they're called woodlings.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It'll actually say woodlings will soon appear. And they've got this thing called a soul tree as well. There's usually, I believe 2 of them on a map.
Yeah.
The first half of the game, you can go up to a soul tree, get a bell for free, extract early. If you're just doing like quick missions or you're just trying to level up real quick or something like that, yeah. Otherwise, the second half of the timer, it's you have to go find one of these woodlings and actually kill it to get the bell of retrieval, and then you've got your second where you're ringing your bell, and then you have to do another second of clicking on the portal to get out.
Yeah.
And I've recently learned you can be killed during that extraction animation.
That doesn't surprise me. You can get knocked out of any ability during the game, so that doesn't surprise me that somebody can come up and gank you.
It's not even like, oh, while you're doing your animation to extract or anything like that. It's you're doing your animation to leave, and until you have like that weird dematerialize effect.
They can do damage, huh?
They can do damage.
Oh,
like,
that
you
sucks.
can die.
Damn, that's brutal.
I will say that hasn't happened to me. Someone posted a video of that happening to them, and I was like, oh, that's dirty.
That's real dirty.
That is dirty.
That sucks.
And one of the big things to know about these woodlings is that they appear as these like kind of like weird blue auras on or off to the side of your map to indicate, hey, they're somewhere in that direction. Go over there, encounter it, fight it. So everyone within a general vicinity of these things will know where it is. When it blinks red, we learned it means someone is actively fighting that bell.
Yep.
Before we were just like, oh, why is that bell red? That's weird. Because we'd previously gone to another red marker and we are just like, nope, that's a boss.
Yeah,
we're not doing that.
Nope.
A red indicator means that someone is actively fighting that woodland. So you know you're approaching that with, like, there's another player there, or there are other players there.
Yeah.
Big thing to know that we also learned is you fight one woodling, you get one bell. I think towards the end,
as the waves
at
go
a certain
on
point,
and the circle gets smaller, one will drop 2 or potentially 3.
Yeah, I think at some point it does give you enough bells for your team to get out should you reach that point in the map.
Right.
Which I think is super cool.
Yes.
Because there was a couple of times where that saved both of us right there.
We definitely got out by the skin of our teeth in a couple of those later runs.
Yeah, I think we were down to like literally like the second to last circle. I think in one case we were down to the last circle, and he'd gotten one, and I was like, "Screw it, you've got the loot, you take it." And he's like, "What are you talking about? There's a second bell." And I was like, "Oh shit, I forgot about that."
Yeah, we got it and barely got out of there. It's
moments like I agree with you. That is a really cool mechanic.
And it's moments like that that make the game really fun. But for me, feel few and far between. That's what attracted me to PUBG and Battle Royale so much, is it's that final adrenaline rush of circles closing in, it's us and 2 other guys. Where are they? And we're fighting, and that is what attracted me to Battle Royales. And Extraction, it just feels often like I'm not a good enough player. And not that I don't have the skill, it's that I don't have the time to get there. Right? PUBG doesn't have levels. You don't get abilities and things like that. It's you have a gun, and it's whether or not you've got extra attachments on it. At the end of the day, it's a gun that shoots bullets just like the other guys. There's no augmentation to the character. There's no time investment that makes you just inherently better. It's just you and your skill. And that, to me, while that's cool because it allows people growth, it gives you that bit of RPG element in those extractions. To a more casual player, it feels weighted. I guess the best way to say it.
You have all the basics there. So you have Do, which is the name of that silver-haired NPC.
Yeah, where you go level up and you do the Dark Souls Neil kind of thing.
So she seems to be like the main story, and as you just said, you go to her whenever you get a level up, and she gives you a blessing, which gives you talent points. You've got this weird dude named Pip who's in charge of the auction house. Saros, I think, is the name of the NPC who runs the basic shop. And then you've got Dram, which is the name of that ghost, the guy you were talking about, that he was the last person left alive praying to the gods, I think is his story.
Oh, interesting.
And it seems like there's a little bit of a side extra story for him in store for us at some point there.
Yeah, they'll probably flesh that out at 1.0 or something like that.
The really nice part that I enjoyed about this is you find a lot of like super basic crafting materials super frequently throughout your game. You can take those and actually trade them for higher tier crafting materials. So even if you're like us or solo and you're going in and you're just getting your ass beat all the time, if you can go in, get some craft materials and make it out and just keep doing quick in and outs, eventually you'll build up enough of a stockpile to build yourself some green or blue gear. Go in with like a full set. Maybe you just want to build up enough to give yourself a chest piece, a basic weapon or something for yourself, and then go in like that. You know, you still have to work for it, which is the whole concept with the extraction games. It's like, if you want the good stuff, you've got to work for it.
Just so you can lose it and do it all over again.
Pretty much, you know, like that's the gameplay loop of these games, you know?
That's the loop of these games. That's what people like.
The combat for most of these classes actually feels pretty good. Like I said, the archer felt a little lackluster, but I also just typically don't like archer classes in general, so I really didn't give it that much time, if I'm being honest. But I did get my ass beat by an archer at one point. And one thing I actually really enjoyed, and I don't know if this was just for like the playtest, but you can actually reset your build. And while that can be a little bit tedious, it at least gives you that option of like, okay, cool, I can change my build between the two things and like try different perk combinations. And I believe this playtest actually ends tomorrow as of the recording of this episode. If you guys pick this game up, I'm all for picking it up and playing it with you guys occasionally, because I did have fun. I do have fun with those games, but it is definitely one of those, if you're going to play this game and you want to go at it solo, it's entirely possible, good for you, but I'd much rather play with friends, because if I'm going to be frustrated and pissed off at a game, I'd rather have some laugh with friends about it, because then it makes it feel less soul-crushing.
That's kind of how I felt about PUBG. I'd play it solo, but it was a lot more fun playing with a squad or a duos.
They also had a training area, so you'd actually have the opportunity to practice. Going back to what you were saying, you would put your little like aiming reticle, which third person is always just slightly off to the right. That's still off. One of the training things, I was actually doing the Merc and the Hammer, it said target the head to do critical damage.
Yep.
So I would put my reticle on there, do my little jump, and then do my downward smash, and I noticed I would hit just off to the left. So I looked at where my reticle was, and then I put it off to the right a little bit more, and then I would be hitting dead on. And I was just like, oh, okay, so they just need to move where the reticle appears on your screen a little bit more off to the right. Oh, okay. This is where that clunking, this is why he kept missing. This is why he got frustrated. Because even though your aiming reticle was already off right center to adjust for that third person over the shoulder view, you still needed to adjust a little bit more right so that you were hitting dead on with those melee weapons. And I was like,
yeah,
okay.
There's some tweaks that need to happen.
The only other bug, I'll say bug with quotes, is setting up your victory wine, where you'd be able to go up to them, you'd get some like perks that you can get to it, and there's like 4 different levels. The higher the level victory wine, the more perks you can set to it. I would go up, get my victory wine, and I would have 2 layers of the screen of the game. So I would have my character standing there talking to Sigrid for the victory wine, and then the far sides of my screen would start to flicker with what's supposed to be the animation of her brewing it, and the whole thing in the middle that says, oh, you've got your victory wine, or whatever it is that it says, would also just flicker in until the very end, and then the far sides and the center thing would pop up solid, but everything else was still like my regular screen, and I was like,
that sounds like
okay, that's weird.
Yeah, that sounds like something they broke afterwards, because it was working fine for me. So yeah, it sounds like that
It's been like that the whole time for me.
Well,
so I sent that in as a bug report. It's a minor graphic bug. It does not impede my gameplay. Honestly, for beta playtest, which is essentially what this build currently is, it plays incredibly well. It looks great. As far as I know, neither of us really encountered any major game-breaking bugs or really any visual bugs.
There was one quick flash that I had. If I can find it, I'll put it up here for you guys. But there was one quick flash that I had if I was recording when it happened. This screen went into like poly mode, and it was just a bunch of polygon versions of everything in multiple different colors. It was maybe a second, 2 seconds of flash, and that was it. It was like everything, all the textures and colors got fucking swapped or something. I don't know. It's weird.
All things considered, for this being their 3rd playtest, the game feels like it's in a really good spot right now. So I'm looking forward. I'll be keeping an eye on their development and seeing how the game develops. I really hope this isn't one of those games that just falls into another early sunset within year 1. But as we've both discussed, whether it's fantasy, shooter, whatever, it's so saturated. I want this game to succeed, but I don't believe it's really going to make it past year 1.
Yeah. You've got Tarkov that's struggling to keep players, which is the original extraction shooter. You've got Hunt Showdown. You've got Gray Zone Warfare. You've got Arc Raiders. You've got Marathon. You've got this fantasy version. You've got Dark and Darker. You've got Dungeonborne. You've got Nexon's extraction fantasy game that's supposed to come out sometime next year, I think. It's a flooded.
Well, Dungeonborne's gone.
Right.
Steel Hunters is gone.
Right. And,
I don't know if Dark and
Marathon's-
Darker is still around.
I'm pretty sure it is. That one I feel like had some good staying power because it was the first dark fantasy extraction. It seems like until someone does it better, the first one hangs in.
Yeah.
We'll see. I wish him the best, especially since this is a Skystone game. So David Brevik helped publish this. That's his company.
I really hope for the best. I really enjoyed the playtest. I gave my feedback. I gave my singular bug report. I'll be keeping an eye on it, but like we said, extraction games, it's a hard market.
They're a dime a dozen right now. Well, let's move on. We did spend quite a bit of time on Mistfall Hunter, but if you guys want more content on that, check it out. We'll have a link to their store. Hopefully there's going to be another playtest. Maybe they'll do an early access weekend or something. Who knows? If it's something you want to check out for yourself, we'll have a link in the description. Now let's talk about the PlayStation State of Play, because that happened yesterday. And funny enough, in last episode, which published today, which was recorded last week, I had said that there was rumors that Wolverine was going to be shown at the new State of Play. And it in fact was shown at the new State of Play. And boy, was it good.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. That trailer opening was just like, okay, blood. Lots and lots and lots of blood. I mean, so much blood that I was like, yo, Mortal Kombat, take note.
Yeah, they did not shy away from the blood and gore. And the opening to this trailer was like the opening of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. Bloody and fantastic. The level of detail they did is phenomenal. And I love that they had like a short interview thing with the devs. He said that they get asked often, quote, are you going to make the character, Wolverine, as violent as he is in the comics? And, well, the footage speaks for itself. The answer is yes. Yes, they did. And the actor they got, Liam McIntyre guy, I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him before. He sells Wolverine incredibly well. They literally said they saw him and they're like, nah, this is Wolverine. We're done. This is Logan. This is James. That's it. Tell everybody else to go home. It's like, oh, shit.
Well,
right.
It worked. They were right. I don't even read the comics or am super familiar with it, but I am familiar with Wolverine.
Yeah.
And Wolverine in the comics, not an okay dude. And this dude epitomized the violence that is primal Logan.
It's so much more than just the violence too. That's what I love is they note that Logan is one, he's an unreliable narrator because he doesn't know his past. So with that, you've got anger, you've got rage, you've also got sadness, you've also got fear. He has lived a life of betrayal in the comics. He's lived a life where so many people have abused him and used him and betrayed him. That's what's so alluring about Wolverine. He still tries to be a good person. He still tries to do the right thing, but he knows what he is, and he is Weapon X. He is a killer, and as he says in the comics all the time, he's the best at what he does. There's nobody that does it like Logan. And you see that come through with Liam's acting. Like you see the rage, the terror, the fear, the hunger, the loathing, all of it. And it's incredible because honestly, I'm just going to put this out there. Hugh Jackman does a great Wolverine. He really does. He does a phenomenal Wolverine. Yeah. But holy shit, Liam McIntyre encapsulates everything that Wolverine has behind those eyes of rage, because that's what people know Wolverine as. They know him as an angry, short dude, but there's so much more depth to that. There's the betrayal that happens with him to the Silver Samurai. There's the betrayal of his brother. There's so much betrayal in his life that every bit of his rage has a dark sadness behind it. And to see this actor able to capture that and portray that so well is just incredible. And the gore and blood on top of it, the attack, like a lot of people will probably look at the footage and go, oh, it just looks like Spider-Man. The combat looks like Spider-Man, but bloody. Yeah, but Spider-Man and Wolverine kind of fight very similarly. I mean, Spider-Man's a lot more acrobatic, but Wolverine charges the fuck in and just stabs his claws through people's face.
Yeah.
I have zero doubt in my mind that this is going to be the best Wolverine game we've seen. Prior to this, X-Men Origins Wolverine was hands down the best Wolverine game we've had. This game, I have no doubt Insomniac is going to make unbelievable. I mean, we saw Omega Red, we saw Mystique. They mentioned that there's going to be other characters in this. We're going to Madrigal, we're going to Canadian Wilderness, we're going to Japan. So if we're going to Canada, I can guarantee you we're going to be fighting Sabretooth at some point. It's just going to happen. Yeah. God, it looks so good. And Dismemberment.
He's definitely at least getting mentioned. It's happening.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the X-Men games in terms of like, I want to play them. But this is the first X-Men game, Wolverine specific, we'll go with, that I've been like, I want to watch this gameplay. I want to watch a start to finish Let's Play of this. Not just because it looks amazing, but the story and, like you said, the way Liam shows all those emotions for like Wolverine's past, his history, his unknown history, things that are happening. The trailer alone does an amazing job of showing this. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, damn, I'd watch that. I'd watch the fuck out of that.
Much like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I'm really sad I won't be playing it day one, because this is one of those games that I would probably buy day one. But I have learned that Sony does not do very well with PC releases. So I'm probably going to wait 6 months after it comes to PC. When it comes to PC, probably late next year, if not 2027. But it looks good.
X-Men is very popular, Wolverine more so.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance we might see it PC 6 months.
It could be. It's coming out in spring of 26. I could see it in fall, maybe winter of 26. But considering that Spider-Man 2 was a shit show on PC, I don't have my hopes up that Wolverine is going to launch in a great state. At the end of the day, man, I chomping at the bit to play that game. It looks fantastic.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
But another game that looks really great, one that perked your interest and got you super interested, was Saros. And they announced this, I think their last state of play. They gave us a very brief nothing trailer that's just like, what the fuck is this game? But they gave us some gameplay, and I want to hear your thoughts.
That's literally all it is. That's all they show. Even going to their website to see what the game is about, there's not a lot there. Literally all it says is Saros is an action game with a haunting story of a lost off-world colony on Carcosa under an ominous eclipse. You play as Arjun Devraj, a powerful Soltari enforcer who will stop at nothing to find who he is looking for. Our goal is to create an emotional and powerful character study that explores the cost it takes to create a new future. That's it. We have that paragraph and some gameplay where they're just like some tech demonstration and some fighting mechanics and stuff to the game. Here's our character, here's some UI and things like that. The game looks great. Whoever that I'm assuming is probably a boss that you come up against, which is the weird like Shiva dude that looks like he's holding miniature eclipses in all his hands. Art-wise, it looks phenomenal. It looks super intense. It's almost as if they took Dark Souls, put it in a sci-fi setting, and said, here you go. That's at least the vibe I've gotten off of it. It's got just enough of the right sci-fi elements to where I'm like, not on PS5, but you have my attention. And it is important. I think he actually says it right at the beginning of the trailer. The video that they had was specifically the tech demo for the PS5 gameplay.
Yeah, I don't imagine that game will come to PC same day either. I imagine it'll come later, kind of like Returnal, which was Housemarque P's last game. I imagine that'll come at a later date. The voice actor is actually one of my favorite modern actors, Raul Cooley, I think is how you say his name. He was in Midnight Mass. Remember that show I told you about? He played the sheriff in that. Fantastic actor. He's been in a bunch of other stuff, and I'm very happy to see him doing more video game things. He's incredible in Saros because he plays the main character there.
Yeah.
It almost gave me like third-person shooter bullet hell vibes. There was so much on screen at a time that you had a lot of abilities to shield you. You know, they showed that off. You had a quick dash that looked kind of like a Misty Step from D&D. And I'd have to watch the footage again, but at the time I was like, does this have kind of a really heavy aim assist? Because it almost looked like he would just kind of aim in the general vicinity and his aim would snap to his target.
So something I've learned, or I guess realized about these game demo videos they put out is they don't have somebody who actually plays video games play the demo. Because if you look at these, like a lot of these games, like you'll sit there and wonder, you know, especially people like us who've got 30 fucking years of gameplay experience. We're sitting there looking at people like, why are you doing this? Why are you being slow? Just do this. You're playing your own game wrong. I feel like they did have some kind of aim assist because I did realize that. Yeah. But at this point, I've just kind of chalked it off to they've probably just got some random intern who doesn't play games because they probably don't have time to play games. Karth. Just have them be like, hey, play 10 minutes of this real quick and just record it and then send it to so-and-so for the demo video.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have any bad feelings towards it. I think aim assist is critical for controller players because you can't get the accuracy you can get out of a mouse, so it's kind of nice to see that. They mentioned a progression system with perks and things like that, kind of like extraction shooters. You get the second chance perk, so when you die, quote unquote, you immediately get back up with low health kind of thing. So it sounds really cool. I'm wondering if this is a sequel to Returnal, if this is just their next step in that evolution, because Returnal, that was its whole thing.
Not.
Okay, because that was their whole thing with Returnal was die, get better, die, get better.
Yeah, so it's still the same system, but it's not the same story of Returnal. It's a completely separate story from what I've understood. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But it still has that same system of Returnal. You die, you can pick and upgrade a weapon, armor, shields, or something like that. And every time you die, you will moderately get better in order to build that future that you're looking for. I'm really not sure what's going on story-wise in this game, but it does have that system still.
That means one of two things in my head. When the trailer is unclear, either they're purposely keeping the story under wraps, which is good, or they don't have a lot of story and they're leaning very heavily on the gameplay, which in my opinion, not so good. As a guy who loves narrative, I want the narrative.
Yeah, so, if you're gonna give me a wild game like this, give me a story that makes it worth actually playing, because if I want to play a mindless game where all I do is tap buttons or the screen every so often to do something, I'm just gonna play mobile games.
Yeah,
that's all that is.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end of that trailer, it does hint towards what the story is. You are looking for somebody specific.
Right.
And at the end of that trailer, you actually find what looks to be like some kind of like a Left Behind hologram type thing, I think it was. So they do strongly hint at there being a solid story present. As to what that story is, I really want to know, because that's ultimately what's going to decide whether or not I care about this game. Visual-wise, the game looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks stunning. It's going to be a matter of narrative.
Yeah, it's all coming down to the narrative.
Well, it comes to PlayStation 5 on the 20th of March next year, right around the corner. Unfortunately for you and I, it'll be sometime after that, probably 6-8 months after. So we'll see it in the fall.
Yeah.
But it'll give us plenty of time to know whether or not it's something that we're going to be interested in.
Oh, yeah.
Deus Ex Remastered this is almost a remake. I mean, this is a remaster the same way Elder Scrolls Oblivion was a remaster. They rebuilt this game beautifully. And the moment I saw it, I was like, man, I've got to talk about this. I had crazy flashbacks of being 7 years old, sitting in my buddy's garage, on his couch, playing PS2, Deus Ex, and just getting our shit kicked in by the difficulty of that game. So I am super stoked to have this game being remade so that I can enjoy the story as an adult rather than a child who missed 90% of the context of Deus Ex. Because after beating Deus Ex Human Revolution, man, I'm stoked because they actually leave that game off with the lead-in to Deus Ex. So Human Revolution and Mankind Divided take place before the first Deus Ex game. So it's really cool that they're doing this remake. Yeah, those are actually like the beginning of the Deus Ex timeline.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
One of the achievements in Human Revolution title on the image is even a callback to the original Deus Ex. I'm very excited for that. Okay. It comes out on the 5th of February, 26th. Hopefully it gets a simultaneous PC launch. I don't know if it does or not. It's not a Sony first-party game, so I got my fingers crossed. I want more Deus Ex. I'm happy to see that at least we're getting a remaster of the original. Invisible War was also a really great game, and I hope that one comes next.
Fingers crossed, man. That's one of those games from back then that I myself never actually got into, but a lot of my friends always talked about Deus Ex.
It was one of, other than like the Cyberpunk 2077 tabletop, it was one of the only Cyberpunk video games out there. It was definitely its own niche category of that time. There was that, and there was like System Shock. And System Shock is kind of what inspired BioShock, so it kind of gives you a vibe there. There was not a lot in the realm of Cyberpunk at the time because that's such a hard category to do. And you had Perfect Dark, which was also Cyberpunk-y, but less so. I love that they remake good games, but I wish they would remake bad games too, because bad games deserve a second chance. But redoing Deus Ex and bringing it to a modern audience is awesome. I'm very happy for that.
Oh, yeah. That was such a staple of our childhood. Even just games in general back then. It was one of those first of its types.
Yep.
In terms of like style. I don't think I know a single person from my childhood who didn't know of the Deus Ex game.
Halloween announced a while ago that they were getting a game. And it was teased, and we didn't have a whole lot of information on it. And it seems like they kind of missed a couple of memos. So Halloween was announced shortly before the Hellraiser game was announced. And the Hellraiser game is a single-player narrative game from Saber Interactive. So when Halloween got announced, I was like, ooh, are we going to get a single-player narrative game? No. We got another Dead by Daylight-like. It's a 4v1 asymmetric horror game where you play as 4 survivors or Mike Myers. I guess they just missed the memo on the fact that, hey, this genre is done and Friday the 13th failed. They missed the memo that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre failed. They missed the memo that if you're not Dead by Daylight, you're gonna fail. So again, blandness in the industry. We're gonna talk about that more on Patreon.
Oh yeah.
I was really looking forward to having a single player narrative game where you had to literally run away from Mike Myers and had no capability of fighting back. And nope, they just made another Dead by Daylight.
Like a Halloween game in the style of Outlast would have been amazing.
That, or if you really want to get wild, a Halloween game with terrible dinosaurs style. So you got parkour free running style away from Mike Myers. You make it like in a hospital, in a school, somewhere where the whole game is set. Hell, even a mall, right? Just make it somewhere that's a large enclosed space that gives you the ability to run.
You know what I think they really should have done, where they really missed their opportunity? They should have done an Until Dawn style Halloween game.
A narrative
a couple of different endings.
That would have been cool.
Because Until Dawn was an amazing game.
I mean, all of the Dark Pictures anthologies are great too. I haven't had a chance to play them, but they got great reviews. Man of Medan, there's a bunch of other ones that they've done, but they've done more games in that fashion, and they're fantastic from what I hear. But
I recently found out Until Dawn has a series on Netflix.
It's a movie. I talked about it briefly with Mike a few episodes ago. I honestly think that it is one of the best video game movie adaptations ever done.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it.
It's really good because it takes the inspiration, but it's its own story, but it ties enough back to the game that it feels like something that was happening in universe. So it's its own narrative, but it fits so perfectly into the story of Until Dawn that it's like, okay, I could see this being a part of that universe. And that's how that should be done. If you want to put your spin on it, it needs to feel like it fits. And the Until Dawn movie feels like it fits. Highly recommend.
I'll definitely have to check that out.
But Halloween could have been anything other than another 4v1 asymmetric horror game. Anything.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that later.
I personally don't understand the appeal. It's definitely not for me. It's going to be biased towards either the team of four or the killer.
It always is.
So it's like, I get it, but it's because of that, I'm just like, I don't like this.
I was a big fan of Dead by Daylight when it first came out. They have changed a lot of how that game functions with new killers, new survivors. The base 4 survivors and the base 4 killers felt really well balanced. And since then, things got a little off the rail. I don't know. It's not for me anymore. It was a cool game. I'm past that. Let's go ahead and jump into Quickfire. This is more stuff that was shown off during the State of Play, but we're going to hit them kind of quick. The devs behind Disco Elysium have a new game coming out sometime in 2026. Zero Parades for Dead Spies. If you like Disco Elysium, you're going to find more of the same here. Story looks really cool. There's not a whole lot said in the trailer for it, but it has that kind of disco vibe. You play as a spy, and it seems like it's an espionage, Cold War era style spy game. Disco Elysium, dice rolling, choices, narrative. Sounds cool.
It looks like fun, too.
Yeah, Disco was great. I've tried numerous times to play it, and boy, it's hard to get into because the system feels very unfair. But I've heard nothing but great things about Disco. I did like what I did play of it. I just didn't have the patience to continue to try and abuse myself with the systems until I figured it out.
I remember you playing through that game and you hated it.
It's one of those things where if you're in a dice rolling game, the tutorials are key. You really need to teach your player how your system works. Because me personally, if I don't understand why I failed at something, it feels like I'm being cheated. And talking kind of on dice rolling games, the game we talked about last week, Duskpunk does a really good job at explaining their systems and telling you this is how things work. And so it makes that game very accessible. Whereas Disco, there's a lot it doesn't tell you that you're just forced to be like, figure it out or you fucking die and start over. It's rough, but it's a great game, hands down. I enjoyed the narrative of what I played, but just having issues with it. Battlefield 6 gave us some story. We got to see like a story trailer, some gameplay, and boy, I got some serious Bad Company 2 vibes with some of the destruction physics in that story trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I am juiced. I love Battlefield story mode so much, and I'm very happy they are bringing it back because Battlefield 1, I think, was the last one I played that had story, and I wanted more of it. I enjoyed that story so much. I wanted more of the story, and it was so short, I was left kind of wanting. I hope Battlefield 6 gives us at least like 4 or 6 hours of gameplay, the story mode. And I really hope it's co-op, because man, the whole time I was watching that, I was like, God, this would be great to play with my buddy. Co-op, story mode, Battlefield 6, blowing shit up, driving vehicles, flying jets, coming in on helos. It'd be really good in co-op. So I'm hoping they've got one more surprise up their sleeve and they're going to say that it's co-opable. That'd be great, but I'm not expecting it.
Yeah, I don't think they're really in the habit of making co-op story mode games, because while Battlefield did a better job with story modes than Call of Duty ever did, did, period.
No question. Fight me.
Ultimately, the repeatability of those games is still going to be
the Battlefield.
Yeah, the Battlefield. But you're right. I love that they're bringing story modes back to this game, because they have always done, albeit short, incredibly well.
Dude, Battlefield 3 to this day has one of the best openings to any shooter ever.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that it just starts with you and your team in a van that crashed underwater and goes back from there is holy shit, what a ride.
They started at the end and you're literally going back and forth on that timeline the entire time.
Cannot wait for 6. I'm excited to see what they do with it. The idea of alliances that held since World War II no longer stand was like, oh shit. Oh shit.
Yeah, they came in hard. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You guys aren't playing around.
I'm excited. Zach, he's played a lot of it in Battlefield Labs. He cannot stop singing its praises for the multiplayer. So I have no doubt that the game is going to be great. With as extensive as they've done with their tests and their introduction with PC players, I'm fairly confident that game will release in a good state day one for PC players. So I'm looking forward to it. That comes real soon. 19th of October. 19th.
Yep.
Not far away.
Yep.
Speaking of games that aren't far away, that I wish were a little bit closer, did you watch the Dynasty Warriors 3 Complete Edition Remaster trailer?
I did not.
Okay.
No.
Did you ever play Dynasty Warriors 3?
Not 3,
okay.
No.
So
I think I played the original Dynasty Warriors for a little bit.
I played this game with my buddy Cameron for a very long time when we were kids. Dynasty Warriors 3 was one of my favorite versions of Dynasty Warriors. And there's a scene in the game which they show in the trailer at the very beginning. And as soon as they showed it in the trailer, I was like, oh, Dynasty Warriors 3 remake. I called it immediately because it's this scene where one soldier is like, oh my God, it's... And I went, Lubu, it's Lubu. Because it's iconic from 3. And it would just immediately, it showed Lubu. I was like, yeah. Yeah, I saw that. That started cracking up, and I was like, yep, it's Lubu.
Nice. When they take those super iconic moments that the player base made, they're like, this is what we have chosen to define as like an iconic moment in this game. And you're like, cool, when we remake this, we're going to play on that because that's what's going to bring people back in.
I mean, Battlefield is known for that, right? The guy who made the rocket shot jumped out of the freaking F-16, blew up the jet behind him and landed back in his F-16. They put that in the trailers for the next game. You lean into the culture, right? And we're talking PS2 days. So this wasn't like there was a Reddit with people going like, oh, it's Lubu. It's just one of those things. Schoolyard, you're talking to your friends about the weekend playing Dynasty Warriors. And you're like, oh, man, I was fighting Lubu and he wrecked me. Good stuff. And that comes out on the 19th of March. So it's a little bit further out. I don't know personally if I'll pick it up. Dynasty Warriors are those games where, kind of like extraction shooters, the loop gets played out. It's just run, kill waves of enemies, run, kill waves of enemies. They're fun for a while. And then for me, they just get a little played out. But the nostalgia of a remake of 3 could be worth picking up at some point. ChronoScript, The Endless End, was a very interesting game that they showed off. It's a hand-drawn art style 2D side scroller. My first initial thoughts of the art style was wood-carved relief. It has that kind of vibe of almost an art piece rather than a drawing, if that makes sense.
Now, I'm just looking at the thumbnail for the video right now. I see what you're talking about. It's a lot of brown
Yeah.
and just kind of almost looks like they took a piece of wood and lightly burned the images onto there.
Yeah, etched
and
it.
then like grained it a little bit.
Yeah. It seems like relief carved or etched or something, or wood burned, but the art style's really cool. It's unique. I'm hoping it's not a Metroidvania, because if it is, guys, I hate to break it to you, you're not going to sell a lot. Everybody's going to be playing Silksong for a long time. So please don't be a Metroidvania. Yep. But it looks cool. What really drew me in on this one was there's 2 layers to the gameplay. There's the game you're playing, and then there's the game outside of the game. It appears to be you play a character who goes into this library, and it's this manuscript of the endless something is what it is. You're in this library, and the game actually takes place on pages of this manuscript. And the world outside of the game allows you to maneuver through the game. At one point, there's like an ink spill on the page, and you're able to move from that page literally up the physical world of the library where this game is taking place. It's really crazy. If you're listening to the audio, look it up. It'll make a lot more sense. It's not easy to explain, but you're able to move to the next panel of the game by going through this ink spill. There's another portion that they show in the trailer where pages are falling down, and you're moving between them as they're falling down in this library. It's
interesting.
It's really unique. And I was like, whoa, that's a very cool design.
I'll have to look at the announcement trailer after we're done, because now I'm just like, oh, okay, something else might get wishlisted here.
Yeah. If it's another Metroidvania, as long as the controls are tight, I'll play it. But it's another one of those things that's like, guys are going up against Silksong right now. Not a good time.
Yeah.
But they are planning for a release in 2026, so they've got plenty of time. And Volunteer Ascension's supposed to be coming out sometime between there too. So some good Metroidvanias. I don't know that this game is a Metroidvania. Just saying 2D side scrollers usually are Metroidvania. Crimson Desert. We got a release date, buddy.
Ooh.
Are you ready to never leave your house again and spend the next 1,200 hours, I'm estimating, 1,200 hours sitting at your desk playing Crimson Desert?
Hang on. I am prepared to sink in an equivalent amount of time I spent on Black Desert on Crimson Desert. You want to take a rough estimate?
I'm guessing 900.
More.
13?
I've got a little under 1,200 hours.
Hell yeah. Again, from what I played at PAX, I would not be surprised that this game would have that much content in it. I really wouldn't. And I don't mean that much content in it the way fucking Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, or fucking Breath of the Wild was, where you just ran around and collected fucking shrines for forever. No, I mean real engaging content. I don't know the numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised. Comes out the 19th of March. So it's towards the end of the first quarter, but it is not far away. And open world games are going to have a new measuring stick after this. Everybody's been like, but does it beat The Witcher? But is it better than The Witcher? Crimson Desert might be better than Witcher. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of the amount of particle effects that they have. You get used to it the longer you play it, and it's engaging.
That's just Pearl Abyss.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do, right?
Let's be real. That's Korean games.
Yeah.
Particle effects.
Yeah. I gotta be honest, man. Witcher 3, I haven't beaten. I have beaten 1 and 2 to death, so don't even try. But Crimson Desert might be the new standard, honestly.
I really look forward to how open Witcher 4 is going to be, especially with their engine that they've got and how amazing that game looks.
Nanite foliage, dude.
Gorgeous fucking technology, gorgeous freaking game. In terms of open world games, I think that's probably going to be the only other game that's genuinely going to compete with Crimson Desert.
Yeah.
But I think Crimson Desert's going to beat them to the gate in terms of release.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which I think is good because it's going to give Crimson Desert plenty of its gameplay, people syncing hours, people streaming it on Twitch and all that stuff. And then by the time Witcher 4 comes out, I'm going to say Crimson Desert's probably going to be dropping from its peak.
Yeah.
By the time that happens. So I think that's a really good like layer right there. Go from Crimson Desert straight into Witcher 4 and be like, fuck yeah.
Crimson Desert's going to be, let's see, Baldur's Gate 3 is probably the most recent game I have just a ridiculous amount of hours in. Before Baldur's Gate 3, it was Diablo 3. Baldur's Gate 3, I have 539 hours in.
627.
Yeah, Diablo 3, I think I've got about 900 or so hours into Diablo 3. I haven't played it in a long time, so I'm not sure, but I'm excited for it. I was not expecting to be that blown away by what it was at PAX, but bravo. Prolibis, bravo.
I had my fun with Black Desert. I'm looking forward to what they're doing as a single-player experience in Crimson Desert, for sure.
I can't wait. The amount of motion capture, the fluidity of motion, it's so good. We've only got one more thing to talk about tonight on the free side here. Sony, specifically PlayStation, is putting out speakers. They're calling these the Pulse Elevated Wireless Speakers, and I'm interested because they're the first speaker I'm aware of specifically engineered for gaming audio. There's been, Logitech brands and things like that who make speakers, but they're not gaming speakers. They say supposedly these speakers are going to have 3D audio. I'm going to use supposedlys a lot here, guys, just because don't believe it until it's in your hand. And audio quality is subjective, as we discussed on the PAX episode. Chris is wearing those headphones right now. Earbuds, excuse me. Has 3D audio in it, supposedly, which is interesting for bookshelf speakers. How you're pulling that off to make it sound like something's coming behind me. I'm interested. Has a built-in mic with noise canceling, so curious to see the quality of that, how well that works. Has ultra-low latency, which is critical for wireless. The biggest issue with wireless headphones, wireless speakers, is the latency. And while sometimes it's not noticeable, when it's noticeable, it's really noticeable. So ultra low latency is a must. I'm interested to see that. What I think is the most unique thing they do is they have charging docks. So they're wireless speakers, but you have plug-in docks that you magnetically attach your speaker to charge them. And then you can just take your speaker and fuck off wherever you want with it. Then it has all the stuff that you expect nowadays, right? Like multi-point connections. You can have multiple devices, two generally connected at one time. You can quickly switch between, say, your PC or your PS5 or your Mac or whatever with a USB dongle, all the general things. But those are the things that are the unique items to these Pulse Elevated Wireless Speakers. With it having all of these features, I'm estimating, just completely ballparking here, these won't be cheap. I'm guessing these speakers are probably going to be in the $300 mark. Anything less than $299, I will be surprised.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
One, because they're PlayStation branded. Two, because Sony really does make good audio drivers. When it comes to audio up there, besides Sans Sound, which Chris and I are huge fans of, Sony, JBL, and Bose are very neck and neck in their sound driver technology. So Sony does do good speakers. So I don't know. I'm curious. I would probably buy these, but I've got 2 pairs of bookshelf speakers right now. And buying a third seems a little too much.
You got a decent sized house, man. I'm just saying, one for every level,
You know what? Fair enough. I could put them downstairs with the big screen TV and have them down there. It's not a bad point. They do come in black or white, so you have some options there. Yeah, no price, no brown. Sorry, Chris. Maybe if you get the white ones, you get them a little dirty, then you can have brown.
I'll just put them up. I'm going to save that joke.
Let's save that for the Patreon side.
No. Yep, I'm going to save that. I was definitely about to get us canceled there, brother.
Good news, buddy. When you're self-funded, nobody can cancel you but yourself. All you can do is drop our listener reviewer count. And let me tell you, it's not very high right now, so I don't think you're going to have a lot of difficulty. I didn't see a price tag. They didn't announce it on screen. My guess is probably $299. With the tech they're cramming into these, if they do what they say they're going to do.
I don't see them being more than $300. Maybe $350.
Yeah, I think $299. If they can get them in at $100, $99.99, I'd be blown away at that price. Again,
I'd be curious on their quality for $100, but like you said, Sony's pretty good about what they put out. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully one of the tech guys will get a early release or something, and either Lioness or any of the other tech guys on YouTube, maybe they'll get a set of them and give us a good review. Well, Chris, any final thoughts before we head over to Patreon? Any parting words of wisdom?
Yeah.
Good word. A man of choice words, well spoken. Deep thoughts.
You know me. My mom always told me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And As you know about me, I seldom ever have anything nice to say.
Yeah, but you still say it all the time. You
To
missed the
you.
other part. You missed the other part of that. You got the first part. If you don't have anything nice to say, you miss the second half of that every time. I'm just gonna say it again. That was Kevin. I looked fat.
You look too fat to be Kevin.
Oh, good times. Good times. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on episode 115. And we'll see you on the Patreon side, or we'll see you next week.